Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. A little over a week ago, I made a Feudal Fables meta tier list, and I had a lot of spicy opinions in that video for sure. While the majority of people agreed with me, there was definitely some dissent in the comments section down below, with people disagreeing with me for one of my positions or another. And, well, we had comments like this one, which says, "Can you just stop spreading misinformation already?" I don't think this guy realizes what an opinion is. This was an opinion video. I said it in the title. Okay, whatever. But there were some more serious comments than that. For example, someone was saying that Leon isn't S tier after the damage nerfs, or that Sereth shouldn't be at the very bottom of the tier list, and another person questioned why the heck I put Grover in B. Isn't that kinda low? So, I want to talk about this, and I want to discuss the tier list, because there is one very important thing about this tier list that does distinguish it from a lot of my other recent tier lists, and that's the fact that I didn't really have any win rate or pick rate data to go off of for this particular tier list. Usually I like to take a look at the win rates and pick rates beforehand to help guide my rankings on the list. But there wasn't really any good data available for that, and the reason for that is because, well, with the whole server DDoSing situation that happened back in May, the game had to shut down Ranked. Ranked was gone for quite a few weeks, actually, and because of that, there just wasn't data to look at. The bot that I use to get win rate data looks at ranked, and when ranked is down, well, there's simply nothing to look at. But now that ranked has been back up for a few weeks, we finally do have good data to look at. And so I want to take a look at that, break it down, and see how accurately it aligns with my rankings on the tier list. Most of the champions on the tier list were in the same position as the Banners Fall tier list, and that's because, well, I introduced the tier list as sort of an amendment to my Banners Fall tier list. So the Feudal Fables update, I only really moved champions that got changed in that update or in any hotfixes since the Banners Fall update. So yeah, that's why a lot of the champions remain in the same spot, and we'll see if they still should remain in that spot. And we'll also see if the champions that I moved actually ended up in an accurate tier based on what we see with the data. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get started. So up first, let's talk about supports here. And by the way, if you want to look at any sort of Paladins data, then I recommend going to my Discord server and, yeah, checking out the Ito bot, which is a very good bot if you want to look up all kinds of nerdy data about Paladins. So a link to my Discord server will be in the description if you want to use this bot and, well, just have fun, look at stats to your heart's content. But it's important to also explain what sort of data pool we're looking at here, because I do have some restrictions. So when I look at ranked data, I tend to look at Diamond plus ranked. So Diamond to Grandmaster is the grouping that I look at. And that's because when you're in Diamond, Masters, or Grandmasters, you generally tend to be pretty good at the game. And that's the data that I care about. I care about seeing when people play champions that they're good at, right? I don't care about the win rate of, I don't know, a silver player who's playing a champion they're bad at. I care about seeing these champions at their finest, because if someone is good at a character and that character still has a low win rate, that's indicative of a problem. And if a character has an absurdly high win rate when people are playing at the highest skill level, that also might be indicative of a problem. And so this is just the highest quality data that we can achieve, and that's why I'm looking at Diamond to Grandmaster ranked here. So up first, we have the support roster, and I've broken it down based on win rate. So the highest win rate is up top, lowest is at the bottom. And you'll already immediately notice some very interesting things. First of all, what the heck is Grok doing? With a 64, almost 65% win rate? Huh? Well, he also has a very low pick count. As a matter of fact, it might be the lowest pick count here. Yeah, it is the lowest pick count here. So this is indicative of Grok being a very niche character. Very good in his niche, but you rarely do pick him. You usually pick him in some sort of double support comp or with some sort of brawly pirate style comp. And so the situations where you pick him are very limited. That's why he has a low pick count, but when you do pick him in the right situation, he has a very high win rate. That's why I ended up putting him in C tier, because C tier, in the definition of my tier list, is the tier for champions that are otherwise potentially A or even S tier, but they're very niche. You can't pick them all the time. There are only very specific scenarios where you pick them up. So this actually aligns perfectly with where I put him in the tier list based on my own descriptions and criteria of the ranks. But then we get to very, very interesting, arguably even more interesting data with these next two champions. Moji is the second highest win rate support in the game right now, 63.84% win rate. Whoa, that is tremendously high. And she has 943 picks, which definitely does not make her the highest pick count, but it's certainly nothing to scoff at. It's higher than Furia. Wow. It's higher than Pip. It's higher even than Corvus, although just barely. It's around the same as Rey. It's higher than Lilith. It's higher than Genos by 1. 1. But also take a look at the ban count. The ban count is, in my opinion, another good indicator of a champion that's perceived as strong by the community. And you'll notice here that Moji is the second most banned support in the game, right after Ying. That's pretty good for this character in terms of her being a reliably strong champion. Some people disagreed with me putting her up so high, but I think that Moji is definitely a sleeper pick. Now, I don't know if her pick count is indicative of her being a niche character, in the sense that she's comp-specific, or if it's just that not enough people are good at her yet, or if it's just that people are still sleeping on her and haven't realized just how strong she is yet. It could be any number of those factors, and as we continue to play with support Moji here over the next few months, I think we'll see that bear out, whether it is the fact that she's niche, or the fact that people aren't good at her yet, or the fact that she's just a sleeper pick. Like, if she's a sleeper pick, and people are slowly waking up to her power, I imagine this pick count will go much higher. I think the ban count already kind of trends in that direction of people realizing that she's actually just kind of busted. But regardless, these are really high-performing stats. I mean, this is a killer support. It seems that Evil Mojo has done it again and released another very overtuned support on release. So, yeah. Yay! 2 claps for Evil Moji. See what I did there? Anyways, next up we have Moldamba. Oh my god, this is this is concerning to me. So, Moldamba, you guys know I've been talking about this for well over a year now. I think Moldamba is the paradigm of balance in the support class. I think he is the benchmark to which all other supports should be held. And I have said for a long time that I don't think Moldamba needs any sort of buffs, or if you do buff him, very minor things, right? Nothing crazy at all. And that instead, I think that a lot of the supports that have power crept Moldamba should have their power toned back a little bit. And certainly they have toned back the power of a lot of supports in the Feudal Fables update, right? They gave a lot of healing nerfs to a lot of people, even some of the heavy ones, like the big powerful supports like Io, Ying, and Lilith, and Grover. All 4 of them got massive nerfs this update. But they also buffed Moldamba quite drastically. They gave him a half-a-second cooldown reduction on his Mending Spirits. Half a second doesn't sound like a lot, but it takes it down from 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds. So that's actually a pretty huge percentage of the cooldown just gone, chopped off. So that buff, paired with the fact that he does more damage now, has made him actually a pretty ridiculous support. And you can see, he is tremendously popular right now. As a matter of fact, correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, no, that is the highest pick count in the entire support class. Number 1 pick count is Moldamba, and he also has the 3rd highest ban count, and he has a 62% win rate. Huh? What? That's just ridiculous. If anything, I think I undervalued Moldamba in my support tier list. These are the stats of an S tier character right here. I think I might have put him a little bit too low. That's just wild. Like, why did they do this to Moldamba? I really don't think the cooldown buff was necessary. I think they need to revert that in the next update. Because he just didn't need it. He absolutely did not need it. And it's gone around, and it's made him one of the strongest supports in the game, thanks to the fact that also a lot of other supports have gone down. So, yeah, I really don't know why they did that. But, yeah, this is... Ooh, it's crazy. Of course, it is also important to point out that Moldamba has always been one of the highest picked champions in the support class when it comes to the high elo specifically. And that's because he's a very fun support, and he's also a very skillful support, and a lot of high elo players favor him for those 2 factors. Even when he's not necessarily the strongest, he is also a comfort pick for a lot of good players. So his pick count has always been elevated, but to see this win rate and to see this ban count is concerning, especially when Moldamba also has generally trended towards the lower half of the spectrum. Even when he's considered good, he's usually trended kind of on the lower end of the support roster. And he also is coming up from having previously been one of the bottom 3 supports for a good while. As a matter of fact, I think several months ago I made a video where he was the lowest. So, I mean, certainly his position in the support class needed to be elevated towards somewhere in the middle, right? Whether it be through administering buffs to him or by nerfing other supports that were too strong. But I feel like they've gone too far to the extreme, and now they've buffed him too much. And I don't know why they gave him this cooldown buff. That's really the thing I take issue with, and I think it should be reverted. I don't think he needs any crazy nerfs or anything like that. I really don't get why he got this last buff that he did. But anyways, the rest of the list does generally tend to bear out with the positions on my tier list. I had Furia in A tier. Her stats definitely reflect that. Pip, I had him in B tier, and his pick rate does, I think, justify that position there. He's a very good support. Honestly, maybe even worthy of a C ranking in the sense that he is kind of niche because you either have to be ridiculously good at him or just pick him in the right situation. But he is generally a fine support. Then we have Corvus. I think I put him in C as well because of his, niche identity of being the pocket support. Totally, I stand by that position as well as Ray. Generally good stats, and again, niche, you have to pick her in the right situation. Io and Ying down here, they look pretty low on this list, but that win rate is still nothing to scoff at. 59 and 57% respectively are still pretty good. Now, you might argue that Ying shouldn't be S tier because her win rate does put her below a lot of other supports, but she is still picked a ton, and she is still banned a ton. She's certainly perceived by many as a very, very, very strong support. So, I mean, is she still S, or should I have put her in high A? She certainly doesn't go anywhere below high A. I don't think anyone would dare say something like that. Also, it might be worth noting that perhaps part of the reason this win rate is a little bit lower is because of those silly, goofy people picking Focusing Lens and Resonance. And as a matter of fact, let me see if the stats bear that out. I'm just going to take a look here. Win pick rates for, I believe we do talents here, champion, Ying, and then we will do rank, diamond, grandmaster. Baba boy. Okay. Oh wow, Focusing Lens and Resonance actually have way higher win rates than Life Exchange, but that's also because they have a very small pick rate in comparison. Very, very tiny pick rate. Okay, well, that's interesting. In general, it just looks like she has a very high win rate and a very high pick rate. So, yeah, I guess maybe that doesn't bear out what I just said about Focusing Lens and Resonance, but yeah, I mean, regardless, it's still very good stats. The support roster in general, it appears to still be doing very, very well. And then if we look at the lower end of the spectrum here, Lilith and Grover both are among the lowest. As a matter of fact, Grover is the third lowest win rate support in the game right now. Lilith still has a very low pick rate. Of course, she's always generally trended towards the medium to low end because she's clunky. A lot of people don't really like playing her, and so, it's more of a like, oh, okay, she's strong, so I'll play her to win, but I don't necessarily enjoy playing this character, and I'd rather play Ying or Io or something like that. But the nerfs definitely did hurt her. That said, it's not like they've killed the champion either. I mean, certainly not. 56% win rate, still pretty good. And Grover, I mean, he definitely has fallen far from grace. He still has a very high pick count, but his ban count has drastically deflated, down to just 901. That's less than Io, Ying, Maldamba, and Moji, by the way. Don't forget Moji, new support here. So, I mean, it's still higher than a lot of other champions, but still, it definitely deflated from where he was. The nerfs, oh man, they've put him into such an unhealthy spot, in my opinion. And then, yeah, the very bottom. I don't think anyone's surprised by this. Genos still pretty low, and Sarah's still the worst support in the game in terms of high elo. Now, that, I guess, directly addresses the person who questioned why I put Saris at the very bottom of the tier list. And, I mean, I get that she's, fun when you play the damage, the Saris playstyle, which this person is definitely arguing here. And, yeah, Soul Collector is definitely the best playstyle for this character. But she still is not capable enough when it comes to the high elo, and that's ultimately what my tier list was mostly addressing. Was I was coming at it from the perspective of being someone who plays in the Diamond to Master echelon, right? So at that tier of gameplay, yeah, Ceres, she just doesn't win as much. And I've already made, I think, many videos at this point talking about why Ceres simply isn't necessarily viable at the high elos compared to a lot of other supports, so I'll just link to that in the cards, possibly the description as well if I remember. But yeah, she, well, I don't know what they could do to make her a higher tier support in high elo without completely making her overpowered busted in like gold. She's a very finicky support, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But let's talk about my favorite class now, the tank class. So these guys are still doing absolutely phenomenal, and I've often remarked recently over the past few months that the tank class is the only class with every single character having a win rate above 50%. And that was technically true, but now with the new stats that we have fresh from June through July here, support is, you know, also above 50% now, and actually I believe the flank roster... No, the flank roster isn't, so just tanks and supports. But yeah, the tank class is still very healthy as a whole, and the grouping of win rates here is actually pretty tight. A little bit tighter, I think. Yeah, definitely tighter than the support class. The highest here is 61%, highest there is 64, lowest 54, lowest 53 here. So the tanks are definitely very reasonably balanced, and it also reflects in their pit count and ban count. My goodness. Tanks are just very good. And you'll see here at the top, Terminus has the highest win rate out of any tank in the tank class. Now, I moved him from my Banner's Fall to my Feudal Fables tier list because, even though he didn't get any changes, I felt that I undervalued him. And I still might be undervaluing him, to be totally frank. Because, look at this pick count. Pretty good, although, I mean, yeah, a lot of tanks do still have a higher pick count than him. Tanks are just, they have such high pick rates, man. And ban count, yeah, he gets banned a lot, too. Although, again, a lot of other tanks also do get banned a lot, so, I mean, that just shows you how good tanks are, right? But, yeah, he is very solid. Like, he's a very respectable choice right now. I think he does still have the shortcomings of being melee and having that kind of make him a little more niche in some ways, but no doubt he is very good. And also, we get to Nyx here. Nyx is also very high up there with a 60.86% win rate, higher pick count than Terminus, and a very high ban count. As a matter of fact, this looks like the second highest ban count. Now, there were some people who called me out for not putting Nyx high enough. And looking at these numbers, I definitely understand where they're coming from. People say that Nyx is the strongest point tank in the game, and I think I can definitely agree. Unless, of course, we're counting Terminus as a point tank, I think he is, in which case he is giving her some competition. But Nyx is undoubtedly strong. I may have undervalued her a little bit too. I didn't really move her from the last tier list. So, yeah, I wasn't really thinking about her for the Banner's Fall tier list, to be totally honest. And, yeah, it definitely bears out that she is very good. No doubt about that. I maybe could have moved her to low S tier, or at the very least, the very top of A tier. I feel like she'd probably go right around there if I had to move her again now, but she's definitely still doing very good. And then we have Torvald here. It's so funny. There is a cohort of people who just think Torvald is bad now because of the Thanks Grandpa and the general protection shield nerfs that happened in a hotfix. No, he's not. He's not bad. Look at this win rate. Tell me that this character is bad. He got nerfed, yes. He's worse than he was, yes. But he's still freaking Torvald, baby. He's still so good. And yeah, his pick count is a little bit lower, but his ban count is still very high. He's still very lethal with the right combination of characters, and the win rate reflects that. That's why he remained in S tier. I mean, come on, man. How are you going to argue with that? He's very, very good. He still brings a lot of utility to the table. I've made videos talking about why Torvald is so good. As a matter of fact, the video explaining why Torvald works and ROM doesn't actually does a very good job of explaining just why Torvald is so good. Every single thing that's good about him. So, yeah, I guess maybe I'll link to that too. I don't know how many videos I'm going to link to in this video, but you'll see later in the cards, in the description, I guess. Atlas is also doing very good. He actually has a slightly higher pick rate than Torvald. Wow, that's pretty cool. Very skillful champion. I believe I put him in high A tier as well. I think that's a comfortable place for him. He certainly brings a lot of value to the table. Khan, still a very good tank. One of the most popular. He has the highest ban rate out of every tank. And is that the highest pick count too? It is the highest pick count. Some people were also saying, Khan probably doesn't belong in S tier, but I think with a pick count that high, a ban count that high, and still having a 60% win rate, pretty much tied with Torvald and Atlas and Ruckus and all these guys, I think I can justify putting him up there. The pick count and the ban count give him the edge over these other two. He's just insanely popular because he's so good. I mean, he has the highest single target damage out of any tank, good self-sustain, good supportive capabilities for his team, and his ultimate is basically just a free kill. That's a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's very good. Ruckus is also doing very good. I think he's another one I put in A tier. I put basically most tanks in A tier. And, I mean, the stats really bear it out. There's not much to talk about. I mean, Ashe, very good. Inara, I did put her in B tier. She actually is a slightly higher win rate than Barrack and Fernando right now. That's crazy. I didn't expect that. Fernando still gets banned a lot, but he gets picked about the same amount as Inara. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should have put Inara in A tier too. I mean, I kind of joke when I say this, but I probably could have made a justification for literally just making the entire A tier just tanks. I could have put literally every tank in A tier if I really wanted to. I could spin that narrative if I wanted to. They're just so good. Maybe I'm biased as a tank enthusiast. I mean, I know I main BK and Eevee, but outside of that, I mostly play tanks. But yeah, they're all just so freaking good. Azan's great. He's actually one of the lowest win rate tanks here, still with a 56% win rate. That just goes to show how good they are. Yagoroth and Ram are down here, and they're notable for the fact that they have such a low pick count, and that's why I ended up putting them in C tier, because they can still win games, obviously. 56-55% win rate, that's okay. But you have very, very specific circumstances you need to pick them in. Yagoroth is definitely better than Rom, I would say, because of the fact that, well, sadly, there is a bug you can abuse with Yag where you can ult people through walls. And there are certain setups on maps like Bazaar and Splitstone Quarry where Yagoroth is insane. Because she's able to get super good free kills. And if you just play her smartly, she's very strong. So, yeah, she's niche, but yeah, definitely don't sleep on her. And then finally we have Makoa, and Makoa is the other tank I put into B tier, and this was also true for the last tier list I made as well when I did also have stats. He was the lowest win rate tank. Still a 53% win rate, which is okay. I think the biggest issue hampering Makoa is the fact that he is just so vulnerable to a lot of hit scans. And when you have aim assist on PC, it's a lot stronger than console aim assist because you have higher frame rates on PC. It ends up just absolutely melting Makoa, because he has the easiest head-to-hit in the game. You just play Talus, Koga, anyone like that, you lock on and you just go, and he dies. If anything, if they wanted to buff Makoa to make him feel a little bit better, and just overall be a more well-rounded tank, you could either increase his health pool, or maybe give him some sort of, like, headshot damage reduction, or, I don't know, here's a funky thought, give him damage reduction on the shell portion of his hitbox. Balance it out. I don't know, you could do anything silly like that. But, yeah, overall, I mean, he's still a good tank because of his hook. He's very powerful, his shield can be good, so, you know, he's not bad. And overall, I'm pretty happy with where I put most of the tanks. Although, again, you could make the justification for maybe putting Terminus and Nyx even higher on my tier list. And I think some people certainly would put Nyx in the S tier on my list. So I understand the dissent, and I can definitely be convinced to put them higher. Now, the damage class is a very interesting one to look at. And some people were calling me out, were trash-talking me for putting Bomb King in S tier, saying I was biased because I'm a Bomb King main. Excuse me. Have you seen his win rate? I think, is this the highest win rate we've had yet? No, it's not. It's not. It's the second highest, but bro has a 64% win rate in ranked with a 1,686 pick count. That's actually slightly higher than Willow's, and, well, his ban count is a third of Willow's, but it's still a very good ban count. Bomb King is not bad. Bomb King is an S tier character. I mean, if you don't think that, you're kind of smoking the crack, because look at these stats. He wins games. You just gotta be good at them. And, I mean, for a lot of high elo players, I mean, being good at him, honestly, is kind of a low bar. Like, once you get past the learning curve of the character, honestly, and I say this as a Bomb King main, he's not that hard. So, yeah, BK is insane. And Willow, obviously, is also an easy S tier. 62% win rate. pick count identical to BK's, and she is the most banned character out of, I think, all the characters we've seen thus far. Yes, the highest ban count out of any character in the game. It's a very high ban count, so obviously she goes into S tier, no competition, and my A tier also pans out. Tyra I put in A tier, Vivian, Octavia get lifted into A tier because if you're good at them on controller, they're very powerful, although certainly they're also kind of boring, which is why their pick count is so low. I mean, geez, playing Vivian is like taking a bunch of sleeping pills, dude. It's so rough. I don't think their pick counts are like this because they're niche. I think their pick counts are this low because they're just such droll characters, but that doesn't distract from their power. They're still very capable characters when you have that PC aim assist. Sati's actually doing pretty good. I don't remember where I put her. Hang on, let me find that. Okay, so I put Sati in B tier. I may have undervalued her a little bit, because that is certainly a very good win rate, and actually a higher pick count than Bomb King and Willow. Not a crazy ban rate, but I mean, she is doing pretty good. Omen as well, although Omen is a tough case. I put him in B tier, and you could maybe justify low A tier, but his win rate and especially his ban rate are drastically inflated because of the bug that he had, where I believe the way it worked was you would get perfect accuracy, you wouldn't have any spread, and you would just laser people with his very high damage output. And yeah, because of that, people were winning games with him very, very consistently. And it wasn't an accurate reflection of his actual strength because it was such a brutal bug. And that's actually why he's disabled right now. He's disabled in ranked. They shut him down because they have a fix for this, and I believe they're going to be deploying it either in the next hotfix or the next update. I don't know. They're going to be fixing him soon. So that's why he has such a high win rate and a high ban count. And I think it would be a good idea to kind of let him rest. Like, once he gets introduced back into ranked without the bug, give it a few weeks and then see where his win rate goes, and then maybe we can adjust his rank on the tier list from there. But of the people I talked to, I think that high B, low A is about where he should go. So, yeah, I think I did a good job placing him there. I don't think I overvalued him. Although, certainly if we were counting the bug, then he would go up to, like, A, maybe even S. Because that bug was just stupid. It was a really stupid bug. But yeah, then we have Vic, another capable character on controller. Drogo's very good. I think I put him in A tier as well. Imani is also doing pretty good, surprisingly, 58% win rate. After the bug fixes, I mean, yeah, she's just been a pretty strong character, you know? Another thing to consider with her is ever since the item store rework, she has a very capable kit because her Inferno Cannon goes directly through armor plating. You don't get damage reduction against that unless you buy Arcane Wardings, so she definitely benefits from that, and she's been doing pretty good. Maybe I undervalued her as well. I put her in B tier, and maybe I probably honestly should have put her above Shaolin as well. Shaolin's not doing super good because he doesn't have the advantage of ability damage like she does, so he's actually below Knessa. Now, this is something I find very interesting, this bottom echelon here. It seems like overall the damage roster has had some kind of win rate boost. Because Knessa, last I checked, was sub 50 as the worst character in the damage class, and now she's bumped up to 56% somehow. I genuinely am baffled by that. I have no idea what could be causing that. I don't know, maybe they added some good sniper maps in the ranked rotation, and that's why? But, yeah, that one just really confuses me, especially because Strix is down at 51%, and I always considered him to be better. Or, not always, but at least, you know, in the recent meta, I considered him to be better. So I really don't know what's happening there. But I think the biggest shock out of all of these, because everyone knows, I mean, Cassie's kind of mid, Betty's pretty mid, Tiberius, oh, poor Tiberius, man. But Leon is back down here. What the heck? Why is Leon down here? She has the second highest ban rate in the entire damage class. She has... Yeah, that's the highest pick rate in the entire damage class, but she is the 1, 2, 3, 4... She's the 5th lowest character. Why? Well, it seems like people, myself included, have possibly been overstating her value. That or people pick her assuming she'll be the instant win condition. After all, she's easy. She's the auto-aim character, right? And, well, they quickly find that they actually need a little bit more skill than they anticipated, and so Leon ends up losing a few more games than she should. Although this is, again, Diamond Plus matches, so the people who play Leon here should be good at Leon, and she has a lower win rate than Kinessa and Shaolin right now, which is just absurd. Especially considering, yeah, her pick rate and her ban rate are so high. So maybe I overstated her value by putting her in S. I still think overall she's an A tier character because she's still so bursty with that damage buff they gave her. And so, yeah, I don't see myself putting her like in B because of this win rate, because she's still very popular. But yeah, this was by far the biggest shock to me when I looked at this damage win rate, and so perhaps the people who said I put Leon too high were right. Perhaps I should have put her lower. And yeah, I'm happy to, yeah, I guess take the egg on my face for that one. But lastly, let's talk about the flank class, now that I'm over 30 minutes into this video. Gosh, if you're still here, you're a legend. I talk too much. But yeah, some people were flaming me for my decision to leave Skye in the S tier after the last tier list, where I had also put her in S tier because she had a win rate that was super, super high. And actually, if you look at the top 3 characters here, just based off their win rate, this is the exact same order I had it in the tier list. Look at my S tier. Koga, Skye, Vatu. And then come back here. Koga, Skye, Vatu. So, if we're just looking at win rate alone, my tier list was bang on for the flank class, and I guess I'm kind of proud of that. But one outlier quickly becomes clear. Skye has a drastically lower pick count and ban count than Koga and Vatu. And I believe the reason for this is, well, A, I think a lot of controller players just feel that they can carry better with Koga, which is certainly true, because Koga is undoubtedly the strongest flank right now. With that win rate, that pick count, that ban count, whoa, if you play him on controller, you just win. Especially if you pair him with a Torvald, right? Oh my gosh, it's disgusting. So that might be the first reason why Skye gets a little undervalued in that department, but also I think the other reason is you do want to play her with more specific comps, because her speed boost and her smoke bomb kind of works in a similar way to Grok's totems, and so because of that, a lot of comps that Grok is good with, Skye can also be pretty good with, and so you might want to pair her with like an off-tank Khan or an off-tank Makoa, something like that, but I guess people just don't really want to pick her all the time, and so maybe a better rank for her would have actually been C tier. I know that sounds like a major drop, but again, you have to remember the definitions of my tier list. C tier is for characters that are otherwise A or S tier, but they're just very niche, and so maybe that would have been a better place for her, but regardless, she's still very strong. There are people who think she's weak. No, she's not weak. Not by any stretch of the imagination. A weak character does not get a 63% win rate. A niche character might, but not a weak character. Not a weak character at all. But yeah, I don't think anyone will be surprised to see Koga and Vatu absolutely dominating here. Both of them are obviously S-tier flanks, and I don't think anyone really had a problem with that, unless I'm just forgetting some salty comment, but yeah, no one should have a problem with that. Now, Androxus is still the most popular flank. I mean, obviously, he's the poster boy of Paladins, so no one's surprised by his popularity, and he does seem to be still pretty strong, which always just, it kind of shocks me, because he's taken so many nerfs, right? Like, he used to be really good with Cursed Revolver, and then they reworked it, and it made him even stronger, and then they removed it, and also they really gutted a few of the Defiant Fist cards back in the day, you know, the Ultimate Charge one and the Kill to Heal one. They really gutted both of those, and also, technically in a way, the decision to rework his revolver into a slower fire rate hurt both Godslayer and Defiant Fist, because you built up your stacks of Defiant Fist slower, and also you built up your revolver cooldown reduction slower with the one card, or not your revolver cooldown reduction, excuse me, your your Godslayer cooldown reduction. That would build slower as well. So technically all of these were just like massive nerfs, but yet he's still very good in the meta overall, with a 60% win rate. How does he keep getting away with this? I have no idea. But obviously if you're good at Androxus, then he absolutely pops off. Eevee's still very good as well. I think I put her in the A tier, right next to Androxus. Yeah, as a matter of fact, dude, I am so bang on with this. Look at this. Koga, Skye, Vatu, Androxus, Eevee, Talus. Dude, look at that. Perfect rankings matching up with the win rates. I am just a sage when it comes to Paladins, if I dare toot my own horn. Isn't that just phenomenal? How long can we keep this going? Is Maeve next? Oh, no, it's Buck. Okay. Buck, I think I put him in C because he's niche, and his pick rate reflects that. Although he's picked more than Skye. Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, then we get to Vora, very good character. I put her, I think, high B? Maybe I should have put her low A, because of the DR card right now, but that's probably fine. Maeve, I put in B for balance as well. I agree with that. Xin, B for balanced. I mean, we're back to being pretty on the money there. We got Lex in here. Where's Lex? Lex 54% win rate, lower than Caspian. That's crazy. I mean, Lex definitely did fall off after the heroism nerf. So yeah, but I don't think he's bad. He's just, yeah, definitely fallen off a little bit. Caspian, it's surprising to see him with a 55% win rate, but his match data is just so low. Dude, 144 picks. I think people have picked Focusing Lens more than that. People have picked Resonance and Focusing Lens more than they've picked Caspian at all. So, yeah, take his win rate data with a grain of salt. That pick count is indicative of him being a trash character. Because anyone who gets picked that little is just a character usually not worth picking. Like, you know, it's okay to have a mid, 500, 600, 700, 800 pick count. That's just a niche character. But less than 150 picks, my god, yeah, that's just a bad character. That's just a bad character. 7 also, second lowest win rate, and then Kasumi with a clear the win rate data just jumps off a cliff here. Plummets from 54 to 45 down here with Kasumi. No doubt she's the worst flank in the game still, and that's why I put her at the very bottom of D. So, yeah, overall, wow, I think my analysis of the flank class was probably the best analysis out of any class, because I do find myself walking back on a few of the decisions with the tanks, the supports, and possibly some DPS with Leon as well. But with the flanks, I mean, geez, my choices almost exactly mirrored the win rates, so I think I'm going to consider the flank class on my tier list an absolute success. I know some people don't like my Sky choice. Maybe she should have gone down to C for the niche, or maybe just high A or something like that, but regardless, I mean, I was pretty close. I was pretty bang on there. So, yeah, I think I did a very good analysis there. Again, I dare to toot my own horn with that. But yeah, that is going to be the end of this video, so I hope you enjoyed this extra discussion for my tier list here. If you agree with my analysis here, then of course make sure to drop a like and comment down below what you thought about all of it, and also subscribe for more videos from me. If you managed to make it this far, you're probably already subscribed, actually, I have to imagine. Who would dare listen to me waffle on about nerdy Paladin stats for 40 minutes on end and not be a subscriber? Wow, that's crazy. Thank you if you've tuned in this far. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.